Hi, I'm Janet Herron. I'm a retired attorney from Florida, and I found out about pro bono legal services. I was looking for somewhere to volunteer to use my experience, and found out that they did intake at ECHO, which is in Mount Pleasant near where I live. So I started doing intake, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago, I think. And in my former life, my private practice in Florida, I specialized in Social Security disability. So I discovered there were a number of people coming in with Social Security related issues that I could really help them with, because you do not have to be licensed as a South Carolina attorney to represent somebody in a South Carolina Social Security case, because it's a federal administrative case.
She'd say, Miss Hamilton, I just want you to know, did you know you had 53 jobs? And I said, no, I didn't have 53 jobs. She said, yes, you did. I said, no, I didn't. I know I had a lot, but not that many. She said, she slid the paper across. She said, look. I said, oh, yeah, I did work there, and I worked there, and I worked there. And I'm like, okay, 53 jobs, that's a lot of jobs.
So in the course of doing intake, I met Wendy Hamilton, one of the clients, who was very delightful to work with. She had a rather complicated case. She had been turned down a number of times and had a very sporadic, involved employment history. And she said she'd been to some other attorneys who weren't able to help her. So after I reviewed her case, I could see some of the approaches we could take that would be helpful.
Well, because I found out that I have epilepsy, and I didn't want to believe it was a disability, but it was. It is, because on every job that I had, I got sick on a job and I got fired.
And one of the things I noticed in talking to her, that she had a daughter who had just won a scholarship to college, and they were very excited about going to college, but the daughter was saying that she wouldn't go because she was so worried about her mother having an epileptic seizure. And sometimes Wendy would actually get up and wander out into the street in the middle of the night when she had a seizure. So the daughter was not going to go to college. And so Wendy was very upset about that. And I recommended that they go for some counseling, which is also offered at ECHO at no charge. So
my legal problem? Well, I applied since 1986. I done had 6 attorneys, and Ms. Herron was the 7th.
One of the challenges in a Social Security disability case involving epilepsy is that it's very hard to prove that somebody has a seizure, because unless they're in the doctor's office and has it in front of the doctor, it's not medically documented. So we went about getting some witnesses to write statements that they had seen Wendy, and then when the counselor saw Wendy and found that she really did suffer from a depression, serious depression, when you add a mental impairment element to a physical impairment, it's much easier to convince the judge that they meet the requirements for disability. So the counselor was of great help in getting her case together, as well as the sporadic work history that just showed she tried and tried and tried. It wasn't like somebody who had a job and lost it and gave up and wanted to collect benefits.
I applied for disability in 1986 the first time, and when I applied the first time, of course, you get denied. So when I appealed for a hearing, I never received a hearing until 2011. And when I finally got that first hearing for the appeal, the judge told me don't come back unless I have an attorney.
So we prepared her testimony before the hearing and her daughter's. And when we got to court, everything went very smoothly. And we didn't know that day that we were successful, but with my experience, I usually have pretty good gut feeling, and so I try to reassure her that I thought things would be okay. That also meant her daughter would get some benefits for the time period before she turned 18, which would help her with some of her college expenses. So it was very satisfying.
With the money that I get from disability, I feel very independent. With that money, with the funds I get from disability, I feel very independent. So I can help my daughter with school, help, buy some of her school supplies and books. She goes to Triton Tech now.
So working with Wendy was very satisfying. When she received the decision, she called me and was just ecstatic, and her daughter had gone to college, and then she wrote this glowing testimonial that was almost embarrassing about how grateful she was for what I had done. And that's the joy of doing this volunteer work. Every client that comes in, even the ones that we really aren't able to help with a legal issue, they leave saying thank you because somebody listened to them, somebody heard them, somebody gave them maybe some common sense approach to their situation. And I look forward to every Wednesday. It's like the highlight of my week because I'm going to do some good. I'm going to see some people that I can give some help to, screen them and send them down from Marvin to work with. I wish all attorneys would spend more time doing this because it's way more satisfying than just getting a big paycheck or winning a case for $1 million, because you've changed somebody's life, you've made a difference. Wendy's a totally different person. You would never guess she was depressed now. She's a joyful and bouncy and happy person all the time.